You turned my wife into a cheater. At least now, you'll nourish something alive.
The champagne flute slipped from my wife's fingers and shattered against our kitchen tile. Lisa stared at the mess like she'd never seen broken glass before. "Sorry," she said, grabbing paper towels. "I'm just excited about Sarah's wedding." Sarah. Right. The college friend I'd never heard of until 3 days ago. "Remind me when you last talked to her?" I asked, leaning against the counter. Lisa's eyes darted to the calendar. "Oh, you know how it is. We text sometimes." "Instagram likes." "What's her last name again?" "Peterson, Sarah Peterson." The lie came too easily. "She's marrying some finance guy in upstate New York. Very elegant affair." I watched her sweep glass into the dustpan. Her hands weren't shaking from excitement. They were shaking from nerves. "You seem unusually happy about this," I said. "It's just nice to see old friends find love." She dumped the glass and kissed my cheek. "Oh, and I'll be back Sunday night." After she left for work, I found the lingerie tags in our bedroom trash. La Perla. Expensive stuff she'd never worn for me. The receipt showed she'd bought it Tuesday, the same day she mentioned the wedding. I sat on our bed, staring at the black lace tags. 15 years of marriage, and Lisa had never been a spontaneous lingerie buyer. Hell, she usually asked me to grab her cotton underwear from Target. My laptop sat on the nightstand. Lisa's old MacBook Pro was downstairs in the closet, collecting dust since she got her work computer. I retrieved it and plugged it in. The password was still our anniversary date. Her old messages app synced immediately. "Jason, can't wait to see you this weekend." Lisa, "I know. It feels like forever." Jason, "Nicole has no idea. She thinks I'm working late all week." Lisa, "Ethan believes the wedding story. He's so trusting." The timestamp showed these messages were from yesterday. I scrolled up through months of exchanges, plans, meetups, hotel reservations, all while I worked late shifts at the hospital thinking my wife was having book club meetings. Jason Granger. I remembered him now. Lisa's ex-boyfriend from college, the one she claimed was ancient history when we got engaged. I screenshot everything and created a new email account. It took me 20 minutes to find Jason's wedding announcement online. Nicole Brennan, his fiancée, beautiful girl, kindergarten teacher, looked genuinely happy in their engagement photos. I typed carefully, "Dear Nicole, I thought you should see these before your wedding day. I'm sorry to be the messenger." A concerned friend, I attached the screenshots and hit send. Then I ordered flowers to be delivered to their wedding venue with a card. "Congratulations on your special day, from Lisa's husband." The call came at 2:47 a.m. Unknown number. "Hello?" I answered, sitting up in bed, sobbing, raw, broken sobbing. "Is this Ethan Wolfe?" A woman's voice shattered. "Yes." Your wife destroyed my wedding." I stepped into the hallway, closing the bedroom door behind me. Lisa was in Albany, or wherever she really was. "I'm sorry, who is this?" "Nicole Brennan. Was supposed to be Nicole Granger tomorrow." She laughed bitterly. "I got your email." "I don't know what you're talking about." "The screenshots." "The messages between Lisa and Jason. I confronted him an hour ago." She took a shuddering breath. He didn't deny it. I sat down on our stairs. "Are you okay?" No, I'm not okay. I called off the wedding, 200 guests. My parents flew in from Seattle. The venue won't refund anything. I'm sorry this happened to you." Are you? Are you really? Because your wife has been sleeping with my fiancé for 8 months. The number hit me like a punch. 8 months. While I was pulling double shifts in the ER, saving lives, Lisa was planning a different life entirely. "What do you want from me?" I asked. "I want them to pay. Both of them." Her voice hardened. "I have things. Photos Jason doesn't know I have. Voicemails, bank statements showing he booked hotel rooms with your wife's credit card. Why would you help me? Because they played us both. And because I'm not the kind of person who just walks away." I gave her my real email address. 20 minutes later, my inbox was full of evidence. Hotel receipts, restaurant charges, even airline confirmations. Lisa and Jason had been planning this weekend for months, not a wedding, a getaway. Lisa texted me Saturday morning. "Having such a beautiful time." "Sarah looks gorgeous," I replied. "Send pictures when you can." She sent a selfie an hour later. Champagne glass raised, big smile. But the background showed mountains, not a wedding venue. And I could see the edge of a hotel bed in the corner. I forwarded the photo to Nicole with a note. She's still lying. Then I downloaded spyware onto Lisa's laptop and synced it with her phone. By Sunday afternoon, I had access to everything. Her messages, calls, location data, even her camera. She came home Sunday night, glowing. "How was the wedding?" I asked, helping with her suitcase. "Perfect." Sarah was radiant. The venue was this gorgeous mansion with gardens. She kissed me deeply. "I missed you." I kissed her back, tasting lies. "Show me pictures." "Oh, Sarah asked everyone not to post anything yet. She wants to share the professional photos first." Of course. I made dinner while Lisa showered. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A text from Jason. "Thanks for the best weekend of my life. When can we do it again?" I cleared the notification and went back to cooking pasta. Carter Maxwell looked exactly like a private investigator should. Tired eyes, rumpled clothes, and the kind of mustache that went out of style in 1987. His office smelled like coffee and disappointment. "What exactly do you need?" he asked, reviewing my paperwork. "Surveillance. My wife is having an affair. I need documentation." "For divorce proceedings?" "Maybe." Carter quoted his rates. I paid a week in advance, cash. "What's the husband's story here?" he asked. "You seem pretty calm for a guy whose wife is cheating." "I'm a doctor. I compartmentalize." He nodded like that made sense. It didn't, but it was easier than explaining that I was planning something that required precision. Lisa left for yoga class Tuesday evening. Carter followed her to the Marriott downtown. She met Jason in the lobby bar, then they went upstairs to room 412. Carter got photos of everything. Wednesday, I took a personal day and followed Jason myself. He drove a silver BMW with a dent in the rear bumper. Probably from backing into something while distracted by texts from my wife. I followed him to his office, then to a late lunch, then to a gym. Ordinary day for an ordinary prick. But when he parked outside a currency exchange, things got interesting. Jason went inside carrying a briefcase. He came out without it, but with a thick envelope. I took photos through my windshield. That evening, I broke into his car. The BMW was parked in his apartment complex's covered garage. I'd watched enough YouTube videos to know how to slip a lock. Jason's glove compartment contained registration papers, insurance documents, and 3 burner phones. I installed a GPS tracker under his driver's seat and a small recording device in his visor. The kind used for insurance purposes, perfectly legal to buy online. Thursday morning, Carter called. "Your wife met someone else yesterday," he said. "Besides Jason?" "Yeah, older guy, well-dressed. They had coffee at Morrison's Cafe. Looked like a business meeting." "Did you get photos?" "Better. I got close enough to hear some of their conversation." Carter paused. They were talking about real estate, international real estate. I met Carter at his office. The photos showed Lisa sitting across from a man in his 60s, silver hair, expensive suit. They weren't holding hands or acting romantic. This was business. "I ran his license plate," Carter said. "Frank Morrison. He owns the cafe, but that's not his main business. He's a real estate agent specializing in overseas properties." "Overseas where?" "Central America, mostly. Costa Rica, Panama. Places where American money goes far and American law doesn't reach." I stared at the photos. Lisa looked serious, taking notes. "There's something else," Carter said. "I followed Jason after his currency exchange visit. He went to the same cafe 2 hours after your wife left." The pieces clicked together. Lisa and Jason weren't just having an affair. They were planning an exit strategy. That evening, Lisa came home humming. She made dinner and asked about my day. Normal wife behavior, except for the fact that she was planning to disappear with her ex-boyfriend and my money. "How's work going?" I asked. "Same old. Mrs. Patterson brought cookies for the office again. Lisa managed financial accounts for a local investment firm. She had access to client portfolios, including mine. That's nice of her. After Lisa fell asleep, I checked our joint accounts online. Everything looked normal, but I knew that could change fast. I transferred our savings to a new account Lisa didn't know about. If she wanted to run away with Jason, she'd have to do it broke. Friday morning, I followed Jason again. This time, he went to the auto shop and got his BMW's dent repaired. Preparing for a road trip, maybe. At 2 p.m., he drove to Lisa's office building and parked across the street. She came out at 2:15, walked to his car, and got in the passenger seat. I followed them to the industrial district where they parked behind an abandoned warehouse. Through binoculars, I watched Jason hand Lisa an envelope. She counted what looked like cash, then put it in her purse. They kissed before she got out. That night, I checked Lisa's laptop remotely. She deleted her browser history, but the spyware caught everything. She'd been researching Costa Rican banking laws and property ownership requirements for foreign nationals. I called Dean, my best friend since medical school. "Want to grab drinks tomorrow?" I asked. "Sure. Everything okay? You sound weird." "Just need to talk." We met at Murphy's bar Saturday evening. Dean ordered his usual bourbon. I stuck to beer. "Lisa's cheating on me," I said. Dean nearly choked on his drink. "What? Are you sure?" "Completely sure." He set his glass down carefully. "Ethan, You knew." It wasn't a question. The look on Dean's face told me everything. "She talked to me about it," he said quietly. "She was confused, unhappy." "How long have you known?" "A few months." "She swore it was just emotional stuff, talking to an old boyfriend." Dean leaned forward. "She said you were distant." "Working too much. She felt neglected." "So this is my fault?" "No, that's not what I'm saying." But it was exactly what he was saying. My best friend had helped my wife justify cheating. "Did you know about the money?" I asked. "What money?" "She's stealing from our accounts, planning to run away with him." Dean's face went pale. "Ethan, you need to be careful here. Don't do anything stupid." "Like what?" "Like whatever you're thinking about doing?" "I can see it in your eyes." I finished my beer and left cash on the table. "Thanks for the advice, Dean, and thanks for having my back all these years." Sunday morning, Nicole called. "I have something you need to see," she said. We met at a coffee shop in the suburbs. Nicole looked like she'd been sleeping badly for a week. She slid a tablet across the table. "Jason recorded videos," she said, "private ones, of him and Lisa." The tablet showed a video file dated 3 weeks ago. I didn't open it. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I think he's blackmailing her, or planning to." Nicole's voice was steady, but her hands weren't. "There are 6 videos. Different hotels, different dates. He always set up the camera so she wouldn't notice." "How did you get these?" "I still have access to his cloud storage. He forgot to change the password after I moved out." "What do you want me to do with this?" "I want you to destroy him. Completely. The way they destroyed us." I took the tablet. "This stays between us, of course." That evening, I checked Jason's GPS tracker remotely. He was at Lisa's office building again, parked in the same spot as Friday. Time to make a house call. Jason lived in a converted loft downtown. Industrial neighborhood, mostly warehouses and artist studios. Perfect place for someone who valued privacy. I parked 3 blocks away and walked. The building had a security door, but someone had propped it open with a brick. I took the stairs to the 3rd floor. Jason's apartment was 3B. I could hear music inside. Jazz played softly. I knocked. "Who is it?" Jason's voice cautious. "Delivery." I didn't order anything. "Package for Jason Granger. Needs signature." The door opened with the chain still attached. Jason peered through the gap. I could see part of his face, unshaven and tired. "There's no package," he said. I kicked the door. The chain snapped and Jason stumbled backward. I stepped inside and closed the door behind me. "Hello, Jason." He was bigger than I'd expected from the photos. Maybe 6'2", athletic build, but he was also surprised and off balance. "Who the hell are you?" "Lisa's husband." Jason's face went white. "Look, man, I kick him in the stomach. Not a punch exactly. More like a controlled strike, the way they taught us in self-defense classes at the hospital." Jason doubled over, gasping. "Sit down," I said. He sat on his couch, holding his midsection. The apartment was neat, expensive furniture, abstract art on the walls. Money from somewhere. "What do you want?" he asked. "I want to understand the timeline. When exactly did you decide to steal my wife?" "It wasn't like that." "What was it like?" Jason straightened up, trying to regain composure. "We reconnected at her 10-year reunion. Just talked." "Caught up? That was 8 months ago." "Yeah." "When did the talking turn into hotel rooms?" He didn't answer. I sat in the chair across from him. I know about the videos, Jason. His face went even paler. I know about the money laundering through currency exchanges. I know about the Costa Rica plan. I leaned forward. What I don't know is whether you're blackmailing my wife or if she's a willing participant. She's willing, he said quickly. It was her idea to leave? But the videos weren't her idea. Jason looked at the floor. Those were insurance. Insurance against what? In case she changed her mind. In case she tried to back out. I felt something cold settle in my chest. You were going to blackmail her. I love her. You love her so much you recorded her without consent so you could threaten her later. It's not like that. I stood up. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop seeing my wife. You're going to delete those videos. And you're going to disappear from our lives. Jason laughed. Actually laughed. Or what? You'll knock me up? Call the cops? He stood up too. Lisa's leaving you, Ethan. She told me all about you. The boring doctor who works all the time and never pays attention to her. She's already transferred half your accounts to offshore holdings. The cold feeling spread. What accounts? Your retirement, your investment portfolio. She's been moving money for weeks. Jason smiled. Did you really think she'd just walk away empty-handed? I kick him again, harder this time. Jason fell backward onto the couch. Stay away from my wife, I said. Too late for that. I left Jason's apartment with my hands shaking, not from anger, from the realization that I'd been playing a game where everyone else knew the rules except me. Monday morning, I called my investment firm. I'd like to review my account status, I told the representative. Of course, Dr. Wolf. Let me pull up your file. A pause. It looks like there have been several recent transactions. 3 withdrawals totaling $47,000. Authorized by whom? Your wife, Lisa Wolf. She has power of attorney on the account. Power of attorney I'd given her 5 years ago when I was doing medical residency and working 100-hour weeks. I'd like to revoke that authorization, I said. I'll send you the forms. After work, I drove to Dean's house. He lived in a suburban development, white colonial with a perfect lawn. His wife, Jennifer, answered the door. Ethan, how nice to see you. Dean's in the garage. I found Dean organizing tools on a pegboard. Very methodical, very neat. He looked up when I walked in. How are you holding up? He asked. She's stealing from me. Dean set down a wrench. What do you mean? Lisa, she's been transferring money to offshore accounts, preparing to disappear with Jason. Are you sure? I'm sure. Dean leaned against his workbench. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. You could file for divorce. Take her to court. By the time any court order goes through, she'll be gone. Dean nodded slowly. So what's the alternative? I stop her before she can leave. How? I looked at my best friend, the man who'd stood up at my wedding, who'd been there when my father died, who'd covered for my wife while she planned to destroy my life. Dean, how long have you really known about this? He was quiet for a long moment. She came to me 6 months ago, said she was unhappy, said she'd reconnected with an old boyfriend. Did she ask you to lie for her? Not directly. But you knew when she said she was going to book club, she was really seeing Jason. Yes, and you never thought to tell me. Dean sighed. She said you wouldn't understand, that you'd try to control her instead of listening. So you helped her cheat. I helped her figure out what she wanted. By lying to me for 6 months. Dean straightened up. She's my friend too, Ethan. I've known Lisa almost as long as I've known you. She's my wife. She's also an adult who can make her own decisions. I stared at him. Even if those decisions include stealing my money and disappearing? I didn't know about the money. But if you had known? Dean was quiet. Answer me. I don't know, he said finally. Maybe I would have told her to be smarter about it. I walked to his workbench and picked up a hammer. Not to threaten him, just to hold something solid while my world collapsed. 20 years, I said. 20 years of friendship. Ethan, you chose her over me. I chose not to get involved in your marriage. By lying to me every time I asked if anything seemed wrong with Lisa. Dean didn't answer. I set the hammer down and walked toward the garage door. Where are you going? Dean asked. To get involved in my marriage. Tuesday night, I parked outside Jason's building and waited. The GPS tracker showed his BMW in the underground garage, but I wanted to see him leave before I made my move. At 9:30, Jason walked out the front entrance and headed toward the corner bar. He'd probably be gone for at least an hour. I used the same propped door as before and took the stairs to 3B. This time I came prepared. Lockpick set, small flashlight, and a flash drive to copy whatever files Jason kept on his computers. The apartment was dark. I used the flashlight sparingly, just enough to navigate. Jason's computer was password protected, but I'd come prepared for that too. A USB drive with password cracking software, another thing you could buy online if you knew where to look. While the software ran, I searched Jason's desk. Bills, bank statements, and a folder marked LW, Lisa Wolf. Inside were printed emails, photos from their hotel meetings, and a handwritten timeline of money transfers. My hands shook as I read Jason's notes. He'd been planning this for months, not just the affair, the financial theft. He'd researched which accounts would be easiest to drain, which countries had the most favorable extradition laws, even which airlines offered the best routes to San Jose. The computer finished cracking. Jason's desktop contained folders labeled Insurance, Travel, and Business. I plugged in my flash drive and started copying. The insurance folder contained the videos Nicole had shown me, plus several more recent ones. The travel folder had flight reservations for Thursday, 2 days away. Jason Granger and Lisa Wolf departing Albany for Costa Rica with a layover in Miami. The business folder made my blood cold. Jason wasn't just laundering money through currency exchanges. He was running a full-scale financial fraud operation, fake investment accounts, identity theft, credit card scams, the kind of operation that attracted federal attention. Lisa wasn't just cheating with a prick. She was involved with a criminal who was about to drag her into something that would destroy both our lives. I heard footsteps in the hallway. I yanked out the flash drive and shoved it in my pocket. The computer was still on. I managed to close the folders and put the screensaver back just as someone fumbled with keys at the front door. But it wasn't Jason's voice in the hallway. "Are you sure he's not here?" A man's voice I didn't recognize. "Car's in the garage, but he's not answering his phone." Another voice, rougher. "Frank wants those files tonight." I was trapped. The apartment had one door, and these men were about to come through it. I looked around desperately. The bathroom window was too small. The bedroom had no fire escape. The front door opened. "Check the bedroom," the first voice said. "I'll take the office area." I crouched behind Jason's couch, trying to make myself invisible. Through the gaps in the furniture, I could see two men with flashlights. They weren't trying to be quiet anymore. "Computer's still warm," one of them said. "Someone's been here recently." A flashlight beam swept over the couch. I pressed myself flatter against the floor. The men started going through Jason's desk systematically. They found the same folder I'd looked through, but they weren't interested in Lisa's photos. They were looking for something else. "Where's the client list?" the rougher voice asked. "Not here. Maybe he moved it. Frank's not going to like that." One of them walked toward the couch. I could see his shoes, expensive Italian leather. This wasn't a random break-in. The shoes stopped 6 inches from my face. "Check under there," the first voice said. I had maybe 2 seconds before they found me. I rolled out from behind the couch and tackled the man with the flashlight. We went down hard, knocking over a lamp and crashing into Jason's coffee table. The man was heavier than me, but I had surprise on my side. I managed to pin him down for about 3 seconds before his partner grabbed me from behind. "Who the hell are you?" the rough voice demanded. I didn't answer. The man behind me had his arm around my throat, cutting off air. I drove my elbow backward into his ribs. He loosened his grip enough for me to break free. The apartment was dark, except for the scattered flashlight beams. I couldn't see either man clearly, but they couldn't see me either. I grabbed the lamp I'd knocked over and swung it at the nearest shadow. It connected with something solid. A grunt of pain. "Get him!" I ran for the door, but the second man blocked my path. He was bigger than his partner, maybe 6'4", and built like a linebacker. I tried to dodge around him, but he caught my shirt and slammed me against the wall. "Let's try this again," he said. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" "Wrong apartment," I gasped. "I was looking for 3A. He kicked me in the stomach. Hard enough to double me over, but not hard enough to disable me completely." These men weren't trying to eliminate me. They wanted information. "Try again." "I'm Jason's brother," I said. "He gave me his key." The two men looked at each other. Jason doesn't have a brother, the first one said. Cousin, then. Look, I just came to borrow money. Jason said I could check his desk if he wasn't here. What's your name? Mike Granger. The bigger man let go of my shirt. You have ID? I reached slowly into my wallet and pulled out my driver's license, hoping they wouldn't look too closely in the dark. They didn't. One of them shined a flashlight on it briefly. This says Ethan Wolfe. That's my real name. Granger's my mother's maiden name. I was talking fast now, trying to sell the lie. Jason and I use the same fake identity sometimes. For business? The men exchanged another look. What kind of business? The rough voice asked. Same as Jason. Moving money around, helping people invest in overseas opportunities. Frank Morrison's overseas opportunities? I nodded, trying to look like I knew who Frank Morrison was beyond the real estate connection. Why didn't Frank mention you? Because Jason keeps me out of the main operation. I just help with small stuff. The bigger man stepped closer. What small stuff? Research, background checks on clients, making sure they're not cops or federal agents. This seemed to satisfy them somewhat. We're looking for Jason's client list, the first man said. The real one, not the fake accounts he shows Morrison. It's not here, I said. Jason keeps it in a safety deposit box downtown. Which bank? I made up a name. First National. Box 247. The men looked at each other again. If you're lying, the big man started. I'm not lying. Check with Jason tomorrow. He'll vouch for me. They let me leave, but I could feel them watching from the window as I walked to my car. I drove straight home, hands shaking on the steering wheel. Lisa was in bed, reading a magazine. How was your evening? She asked. Fine. Had drinks with Dean? That's nice. She didn't look up from her magazine. I'm flying to Chicago tomorrow for a work conference. Back Friday. Chicago. Right. More lies. Have a good trip, I said. I went to the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. My shirt was torn and I had a bruise forming on my ribs where the big man had grabbed me. But I'd gotten what I came for, the flash drive with Jason's files, and confirmation that he was involved in something much bigger than infidelity. I also had the names of the men who'd been looking for him. Frank Morrison, the same Frank Morrison who'd met with Lisa about overseas real estate. This wasn't just about my wife's affair anymore. This was about federal crimes that could destroy us both. And Lisa was supposed to fly away with Jason in 2 days. I loaded the flash drive onto my computer and started copying everything to multiple backup locations. By morning, I'd have enough evidence to bury Jason Granger and anyone associated with him, including my wife. Wednesday morning, I called in sick to work and drove to Nicole's apartment. She lived in a garden complex across town, the kind of place where young professionals paid too much rent for the privilege of having a gym they never used. Nicole answered the door in pajamas and a robe, holding a coffee mug. Ethan, what's wrong? You look terrible. We need to talk. She let me in. Her apartment was small but neat, decorated with the kind of inspirational quotes kindergarten teachers probably kept around for motivation. Jason's involved in financial fraud, I said without preamble. Nicole set down her coffee. What kind of fraud? I showed her the files from the flash drive. Bank records, client lists, correspondence with co-conspirators. Jason had been running investment scams for at least 2 years, stealing money from sufferers and funneling it through overseas accounts. Lisa's name is on some of these accounts, I said. Nicole studied the documents. She might not know what she's signing. Or she might be a full partner. What are you going to do? Stop them before they disappear tomorrow. Nicole looked up sharply. Tomorrow? They have flights to Costa Rica. Thursday afternoon. I thought Jason was just trying to get me back. All those calls and texts apologizing. She laughed bitterly. He was just making sure I wouldn't cause problems before he left the country. Nicole, there's something else. Jason had business partners here. Dangerous ones. They're looking for him. What kind of dangerous? I told her about the break-in, the 2 men who were searching for Jason's client list. They mentioned someone named Frank Morrison, I said. Nicole's face went white. Frank Morrison, the real estate agent? You know him? He's been laundering money through property sales. Jason introduced us at a restaurant last month. Said Frank was helping him with an investment opportunity. The pieces were falling into place. Frank Morrison wasn't just selling overseas real estate to Americans looking for vacation homes. He was helping criminals move stolen money out of the country by buying property in their names. How deep is Jason in this? I asked. Deep enough that those men you met will eliminate him if he disappears with their money. Good. Nicole stared at me. Good. Jason destroyed our lives. If his criminal friends want to destroy his, I'm not going to stop them. What about Lisa? That was the question I'd been avoiding. Lisa was either an innocent sufferer being manipulated by Jason, or she was a willing participant in federal crimes. Either way, if she got on that plane tomorrow, she'd be a fugitive. I need to know how much she knows, I said. How do you find that out? I asked her. I drove home and waited. Lisa returned from work at 5:30, carrying an overnight bag for her Chicago conference. How was your day? She asked, kissing me on the cheek. Interesting. I had lunch with Frank Morrison. Lisa froze. Frank Morrison? The real estate agent. Nice guy. We talked about investment opportunities in Central America. Lisa's face was carefully neutral, but I could see her processing this information. That sounds nice, she said. He mentioned he'd met you recently. Said you were interested in Costa Rican properties. I don't know what you're talking about. He was very specific. Said you met at his cafe, discussed oceanfront lots in Guanacaste province. Lisa set down her purse slowly. Ethan, what is this about? It's about the $47,000 you stole from our retirement account. I didn't steal anything. It's about the flight reservation to San Jose in your name. Lisa's composure cracked. How do you... It's about the videos Jason recorded of you without your knowledge. She sat down hard on our couch. How long have you known? She asked quietly. Long enough. Are you going to turn me in? For infidelity? That's not a crime. For the money. I sat down across from her. That depends. How much do you know about Jason's business? What do you mean? I mean the investment fraud, the identity theft, the money laundering through Frank Morrison's real estate deals. Lisa looked genuinely confused. Jason told me he had overseas investments, that he could help us start a new life in Costa Rica with stolen money. He never said it was stolen, but you knew something was wrong. People don't move their life savings to Costa Rica because everything's going great. Lisa was quiet for a long moment. I was unhappy, she said finally. We never talk anymore. You work constantly. When Jason reached out after the reunion, it felt like possibility. So you decided to destroy our marriage. I decided to save myself. By stealing from me. By taking what I was entitled to. Half of everything we built together. Except you took more than half. And you were planning to disappear without any kind of legal divorce. Lisa stood up. I left you a letter. It's in my desk drawer. I found the letter. 2 pages of handwritten explanation about how she needed to find herself, how our marriage had become a prison, how she hoped I'd understand someday. When were you planning to mail this? I asked. From Costa Rica. After the money was gone and I couldn't stop you. She didn't answer. Lisa, Jason is a criminal. He's not just cheating on his fiancée and stealing from his friends. He's running federal fraud schemes that will get you both arrested. You're lying. I showed her the files from Jason's computer, bank records showing systematic theft from investment clients, identity documents for people who didn't exist, communication with other criminals discussing how to move stolen money offshore. Lisa's face went pale as she read. He told me these were legitimate business investments, she said. Did you really believe that? Or did you just not want to ask questions? She didn't answer. There's more, I said. Jason has business partners who are looking for him, violent people who don't like it when their money disappears. If you get on that plane tomorrow, you'll be a target too. What do you want me to do? I want you to stay here, cancel the flight, end this before it destroys both our lives. Lisa was quiet for a long time. I can't, she said finally. Why not? Because I love him. The words hit me like a physical blow. After everything, the lies, the theft, the criminal activity, she still chose Jason over me. Then you're as stupid as you are selfish, I said. Lisa's eyes flashed. Don't you dare judge me. You checked out of this marriage years ago. You're married to your job, not to me. So this is my fault? Yes, it's your fault for never paying attention. It's your fault for assuming I'd just wait around forever while you saved other people's lives and ignored your own wife. I worked to provide for us. You worked to avoid dealing with us. With me. With any kind of real closeness or connection. I stared at my wife, really looked at her, and realized I was talking to a stranger. The woman I'd married 15 years ago was gone, replaced by someone who could justify stealing and lying and destroying everything we'd built together. Pack your things, I said. What? Get out, tonight. If you're determined to ruin your life, don't do it from my house. Lisa's face crumpled. Ethan, please. No, you made your choice. Jason Granger and his criminal friends and your new life in Costa Rica. Go enjoy it. She went upstairs to pack. I sat in our living room, surrounded by 15 years of shared memories, and planned my next move. Lisa came down an hour later with 2 suitcases. I never wanted it to end like this, she said. Then you shouldn't have started it. She left without another word. I waited until her car was gone, then I made 3 phone calls. First, to Carter, the private investigator. I need you to follow Jason Granger tomorrow, I said. Find out where he goes before his flight. What's the plan? I'm going to stop him from leaving. That could be dangerous if he's involved with serious criminals. Let me worry about that. Second, I called Nicole. Lisa just moved out, I said. Are you okay? No, but I'm focused. Meet me tomorrow morning. I'll need your help with something. What kind of help? The kind that ends this permanently. Third, I called the tip line for financial crimes at the FBI. I have information about an ongoing fraud scheme, I told the agent who answered. What kind of information? Names, account numbers, evidence of money laundering, and identity theft. The perpetrators are planning to flee the country tomorrow. Can you come in to make a formal statement? I'll be there first thing in the morning. I hung up and looked around our empty house. Lisa's coffee mug was still in the sink. Her magazine was still on the bedside table, but she was gone, and after tomorrow, Jason Granger would be gone too. One way or another. Thursday morning, I met Nicole at a diner near the airport. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. Are you sure about this? She asked. Jason destroyed both our lives. Lisa chose him over everything we built together. I'm sure. What exactly are we doing? I slid a folder across the table. Jason's flight leaves at 2:30. But first, he has to pick up cash from Frank Morrison's office. Carter followed him there yesterday. It's their regular Thursday meeting. How do you know Lisa will be with him? Because she checked out of her hotel this morning. She's got nowhere else to go. Nicole opened the folder. Inside were copies of Jason's criminal files, bank records, and a printed email I'd composed the night before. I'm sending this to every major news outlet in the city, I said. Local TV stations, newspapers, radio shows. By tonight, Jason Granger will be the most wanted man in the state. What about Lisa? What about her? She'll be wanted too. I looked at Nicole across the table. She made her choice. At 9 a.m., I went to the FBI field office downtown. Agent Sarah Chen was a serious woman in her 30s, the kind of federal investigator who didn't waste time on small talk. Doctor? Wolf, you said you have evidence of financial fraud? I handed her copies of everything from Jason's computer. Bank records, client lists, correspondence with co-conspirators. How did you obtain these documents? She asked. My wife is involved with one of the perpetrators. I found them during the course of investigating her infidelity. Agent Chen reviewed the files. This appears to show systematic investment fraud targeting elderly sufferers, multiple identity theft, money laundering through real estate transactions. The main perpetrator is Jason Granger. He's scheduled to flee the country today. What time? His flight leaves at 2:30. Agent Chen looked at her watch. We'll need to move fast to get warrants. I'll testify to whatever you need. Dr. Wolf, I have to ask, what's your motivation here? Are you looking for revenge against your wife's lover? I met her eyes. I'm looking for justice. Jason Granger has stolen hundreds of thousands of dollars from innocent people. He's about to escape to a country that won't extradite him. If personal motivation helps you catch a criminal, I'm fine with that. Agent Chen nodded. We'll take it from here. I left the FBI office and drove to Carter's surveillance position near Frank Morrison's real estate office. Carter was parked across the street with a clear view of the building. "Any activity?" I asked, getting into his passenger seat. "Jason arrived 20 minutes ago. Came alone." "Where's Lisa?" "Don't know. Maybe she's waiting at the airport." We watched the building for another hour. At 11:30, Jason came out carrying a briefcase. He looked nervous, checking over his shoulder before getting into his BMW. "Follow him," I said. Carter started his car. "Where do you think he's going?" "To pick up Lisa." "Then to the airport." We followed Jason through downtown traffic. He made several unnecessary turns, checking for surveillance. Amateur moves that wouldn't fool professional investigators, but showed he was paranoid. Jason stopped at a small hotel near the interstate. He went inside for 10 minutes, then came out with Lisa. She was carrying her overnight bag and looked scared. "There she is," Carter said. I watched my wife get into Jason's car. Even from a distance, I could see she'd been crying. Part of me felt sorry for her. She'd gotten involved with a criminal who was about to drag her into federal prison, but mostly I felt nothing. "Stay with them," I told Carter. Jason drove toward the airport, but took an unexpected detour through the warehouse district. He parked behind an abandoned building and got out alone, leaving Lisa in the car. "What's he doing?" Carter asked. Through binoculars, I watched Jason walk to a second car, a white sedan I hadn't seen before. He opened the trunk and transferred several items from his briefcase. "He's switching vehicles," I said. "Probably has fake plates on the sedan." Jason returned to the BMW and said something to Lisa. She shook her head. He grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the sedan. "She's trying to back out," Carter observed. Too late for that. Jason forced Lisa into the white sedan and drove away, leaving the BMW behind. We followed at a distance as he headed toward the airport. My phone rang. Agent Chen. "Dr. Wolf, we have warrants for Jason Granger and your wife." "Are they still planning to take that 2:30 flight?" "Yes, they're heading to the airport now. We'll have agents waiting." I hung up and looked at my watch. 1:45 p.m. Jason and Lisa would be at the airport in 15 minutes, walking into a federal trap. "This is it," I told Carter. "End of the line." But as we followed the white sedan, Jason took another unexpected turn. Instead of heading to the main airport entrance, he drove to a service road that led to the private aviation area. "He's not taking a commercial flight," Carter said. We watched Jason park near a small private jet. A man in a pilot's uniform was waiting for them. "Call Agent Chen," I told Carter. "Tell her they're at the private airfield, not the main terminal." Carter made the call while I watched Jason and Lisa board the plane. The pilot was already running through pre-flight checks. "Chen says they're en route," Carter reported. "ETA 10 minutes. The plane's engines started. "They're not going to make it in time," I said. I got out of Carter's car and started walking toward the airfield fence. It was chain link, maybe 8 feet high. I could climb it. "What are you doing?" Carter called. "Stopping them." "Ethan, don't be stupid." "Let the FBI handle this." But I was already climbing the fence. The plane was taxiing toward the runway. In 2 minutes, Jason and Lisa would be gone forever. I dropped down on the other side of the fence and ran toward the plane. The pilot saw me coming and accelerated, but he still had to reach the runway. I reached the aircraft just as it was turning onto the taxiway. The pilot throttled up, but private jets don't accelerate instantly. I grabbed onto the landing gear strut. The plane dragged me for maybe 50 feet before the pilot realized something was wrong and cut the engines. Security vehicles were already racing toward us from the airport terminal. The plane door opened and Jason looked out. "You crazy fool," he yelled. I let go of the landing gear and stood up, brushing gravel from my clothes. "Flight's canceled," I said. Federal agents surrounded the aircraft within minutes. Agent Chen personally arrested Jason while 2 other agents took Lisa into custody. "Dr. Wolf, are you injured?" Agent Chen asked. "I'm fine. That was incredibly reckless. You could have been eliminated." But I wasn't. I watched as they led Jason and Lisa away in handcuffs. Lisa looked back at me once, her face full of regret and terror. I felt nothing. The story broke on the evening news. Local investment advisor arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud. Jason's photo was on every channel, described as the ringleader of a scheme that had stolen over $2 million from elderly sufferers. Lisa was mentioned as an accomplice, though the reporters noted she might have been manipulated by Granger. Her photo showed her being led away in handcuffs, looking young and frightened. I watched the coverage from Nicole's apartment. She'd invited me over for dinner, partly out of sympathy and partly because neither of us wanted to be alone. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Empty? That's normal." "You just destroyed your marriage and sent your wife to prison." "She destroyed the marriage. I just made sure there were consequences." Nicole poured more wine. "What happens now?" "Now I start over." "With someone new?" I looked at her. Nicole was attractive in a wholesome way, the kind of woman who would have made a good wife if Jason hadn't destroyed her life too. "Maybe," I said. Over the next 2 weeks, Nicole and I spent more time together. Not dating exactly, but finding comfort in shared revenge. We were both casualties of the same war. The media attention continued. Jason's fraud scheme was bigger than anyone had realized. He'd stolen from over 40 sufferers, mostly retirees who'd trusted him with their life savings. Lisa's lawyer got her a plea deal, cooperation with federal prosecutors in exchange for reduced charges. Instead of 20 years, she'd serve maybe 5. I filed for divorce while she was in county jail awaiting sentencing. "You don't have to do this," she said during our one phone conversation. "I know you're angry, but we could work through this when I get out." "No, we couldn't. I made mistakes, but I still love you. You love the idea of me as a safety net. Someone to come home to when your exciting criminal boyfriend disappoints you." "That's not true. It doesn't matter anymore, Lisa. It's over." I hung up and never spoke to her again. 3 weeks after the arrests, I ran into Dean at the grocery store. He looked uncomfortable when he saw me. "Ethan, how are you holding up?" "Fine. I saw the news about Lisa. I'm sorry." "Are you?" Dean shifted his weight. "Of course I am. Nobody wanted this to happen. You knew she was stealing money and planning to leave the country. I didn't know about the criminal stuff, but you knew about the rest." Dean was quiet. "You helped her, Dean. You covered for her. You lied to me. You enabled her to destroy our marriage. And when I needed support, you chose her side. I was trying to stay neutral. There is no neutral when your best friend's wife is betraying him." I walked away, but Dean followed me to the parking lot. "Ethan, wait. I know you're angry." "I'm not angry. I'm done. We've been friends for 20 years. We were friends for 20 years, past tense. One mistake doesn't erase 2 decades of friendship." I turned to face him. "It wasn't one mistake, Dean. It was a series of choices you made over 8 months. Every time I asked if something seemed wrong with Lisa, you lied. Every time she used you as an alibi, you helped her. Every time you had a chance to be loyal to me, you chose her instead. She was in a difficult situation. She was stealing from me and planning to disappear with a criminal. That's not a difficult situation. That's a crime." Dean looked defeated. "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing. There's nothing left to say." I drove away and never spoke to him again either. A month after Lisa's arrest, Nicole and I had dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown. We'd been seeing each other regularly, though neither of us called it dating. "The trial starts next week," she said. "Are you going to attend?" "Probably. You?" "No, I've moved on," Nicole smiled. "Have you really? Really? Then why do you still check the news coverage every day?" She was right. I was obsessed with following Jason's case, reading every article about his crimes, watching every interview with his sufferers. "I want to make sure he gets what he deserves," I said. "And what does he deserve?" 20 years minimum. "What about Lisa?" "Lisa made her choice." Nicole reached across the table and touched my hand. "You know, for 2 people who were betrayed by the same criminals, we've handled this very differently." "What do you mean?" "I'm angry at Jason, but I'm also trying to move on with my life. You're something else." "I'm what?" "Obsessed. Consumed. You've turned revenge into a full-time job." I pulled my hand away. "They destroyed everything I built. My marriage, my trust, my financial security. I have a right to be angry. You have a right to be angry. You don't have a right to let it consume you." That night, I went home alone and looked around my empty house. Nicole was right. I had become obsessed with Jason and Lisa's downfall. But what else did I have? My marriage was over. My best friend had betrayed me. My wife was in prison. All I had left was the satisfaction of knowing that the people who'd hurt me were paying for it. And that would have to be enough. Jason's trial lasted 2 weeks. I didn't attend, but I followed every detail in the media. The prosecution painted him as a master manipulator who had preyed on elderly sufferers, stealing their retirement savings to fund his lavish lifestyle. Lisa testified against him as part of her plea agreement. She admitted to helping transfer money to offshore accounts, but claimed she didn't know the funds were stolen. The jury didn't believe her completely, but her cooperation helped convict Jason on all charges, 25 years in federal prison. No possibility of parole for 15 years. Lisa got 8 years, reduced to 5 with good behavior. I should have felt satisfied. Justice was served. The criminals were punished. But instead, I felt hollow. 2 months after the trial, Carter called me. "You might want to know," he said. "Lisa's been transferred to a minimum security facility upstate. She'll probably be out in 3 years." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because Frank Morrison made bail yesterday." Frank Morrison. The real estate agent who'd been laundering money for Jason's operation. I'd almost forgotten about him. I thought he was cooperating with prosecutors. He was, but his lawyer got him released pending sentencing. House arrest with electronic monitoring. So word is he blames you for destroying his business. Apparently, he's been making threats. I felt a familiar coldness in my chest. What kind of threats? The kind where people end up dead. That evening, I double-checked the locks on my house and kept my phone nearby. Morrison had connections to dangerous people, the same men who'd been looking for Jason's client list. At 2 a.m., my security system alarm went off. I grabbed the baseball bat I'd started keeping by my bed and crept downstairs. The front door was intact, but the back door showed signs of forced entry. Someone was in my house. I called 911, but I could hear footsteps in the kitchen. Whoever had broken in wasn't trying to be quiet. "Police are on the way," I called out. "Leave now and I won't press charges." A man's voice answered. "Too late for that, doctor." "Wolf." I recognized the voice, the bigger man from Jason's apartment, the one who'd let me go when I'd lied about being Jason's cousin. "What do you want?" "Frank Morrison wants his money back." "The money your wife and her boyfriend stole?" "I don't have Morrison's money." "But you have the accounts they transferred it to." Lisa gave Frank the access codes before she went to prison. Lisa had made one final betrayal, selling me out to criminals to reduce her own sentence. Even if I had access to those accounts, I couldn't transfer anything without triggering federal monitoring. "Then you better figure out another way to pay Morrison what he's owed." The man appeared in my living room doorway. Same expensive shoes, same linebacker build. But now I could see his face, scarred, professional, the kind of face that belonged to someone who hurt people for money. "How much does Morrison think I owe him? 400,000? Plus interest." "I don't have $400,000. "Then you better get it. You have 1 week." "Or what?" The man smiled. "Or we'll take it out of your hide." He left through the same back door he'd entered. By the time police arrived, he was gone. The next morning, I called Agent Chen. "Dr. Wolf, I heard about the break-in. Are you all right?" "I'm fine. But Frank Morrison is using criminals to threaten me. Unfortunately, we can't prove Morrison sent anyone to your house, and he's currently under house arrest. These men work for him. Allegedly. But without evidence connecting Morrison to the threats, there's nothing we can do. So I'm on my own. I'd recommend hiring private security and consider relocating temporarily." I hung up, frustrated. The legal system had failed me again. Jason was in prison, Lisa was in prison, but the people who were really dangerous were still free. That afternoon, Nicole came to my house. "Carter told me what happened," she said. "You can't stay here. I'm not running from these people." "They're not bluffing, Ethan. Frank Morrison has connections to organized crime. If he wants you dead, you'll be dead. Then what do you suggest?" "Fight back." "How?" Nicole pulled out a folder. "Morrison's house arrest monitoring system has vulnerabilities. I've been researching it since Carter called." "What kind of vulnerabilities?" "The ankle bracelet uses GPS tracking, but it has a delay of up to 5 minutes. That's enough time for someone to leave their house, commit a crime, and return without triggering an alert." "How do you know this?" "Because Jason used the same monitoring system when he was released on bail." He told me about the delay. I stared at Nicole. "Are you suggesting we eliminate Frank Morrison?" "I'm suggesting we make him disappear, permanently." "That's homicide." "It's self-defense. Morrison sent criminals to your house. He's going to keep escalating until you're dead." Nicole was right. Morrison wouldn't stop with threats. Men like him didn't make idle intimidation. "What's your plan?" I asked. Frank Morrison lived in a suburban McMansion with perfectly manicured landscaping and a 3-car garage, the kind of house that screamed nouveau riche, too big, too expensive, and trying too hard to impress. Nicole and I had been watching his routine for 3 days. Morrison was methodical about his house arrest restrictions. He went outside to get his newspaper at exactly 7 a.m. He ordered food delivery every evening at 6 p.m. And every Tuesday and Thursday, he spent 20 minutes in his backyard garden. "The garden is our best opportunity," Nicole said. "It's hidden from the street by that privacy fence." "How do we get inside the fence?" "The gate has a simple latch." "No lock." "What about neighbors?" "The house to the left is empty. For sale sign in the yard. The house to the right has an elderly couple who go to bed by 9 p.m. We were parked across the street, watching Morrison water his tomato plants. He looked ordinary, late 50s, soft around the middle, wearing khakis and a polo shirt. Hard to believe this suburban dad was connected to the men who'd threatened to eliminate me. "Are you sure about this?" I asked. "He's not going to stop, Ethan. Men like Morrison don't just forgive and forget. You cost him millions of dollars and sent his business partners to prison. There has to be another way." "Like what? Witness protection? Running away and spending the rest of your life looking over your shoulder?" Nicole was right. Morrison would never stop hunting me, and the legal system couldn't protect me from someone who operated outside the law. "How do we do it without getting caught?" I asked. "Simple. We make it look like his criminal associates eliminated him. A falling out among thieves." Thursday evening, we parked 2 blocks away and walked to Morrison's house. The neighborhood was quiet. Most people were inside watching TV or eating dinner. The gate latch opened silently. Morrison's backyard was larger than it had looked from the street, with enough mature trees to provide cover from neighboring houses. Morrison was kneeling by his vegetable garden, pulling weeds. He had earbuds in and didn't hear us approach. "Frank Morrison," I said. He spun around, startled. When he saw Nicole and me, his face went pale. "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk." Morrison looked around nervously. "You can't be here. I'm under house arrest. If the monitoring system—" "The monitoring system has a 5-minute delay," Nicole said. "We know." Morrison's expression shifted from nervous to calculating. "What do you want?" "I want you to call off your men," I said. "I don't know what you're talking about." "The men who broke into my house." "The ones demanding $400,000. Morrison smiled. "Oh, those men. They don't work for me. They work for people I owe money to. People who are very unhappy about losing their investment in Jason Granger's operation." "Lisa gave you the account access codes?" "Your wife was very cooperative once she realized prison could be much more dangerous for someone with her assets." The implication made my stomach turn. Morrison's men had threatened Lisa in prison. "Even if I wanted to transfer that money, I can't. The accounts are frozen by federal order." "That's your problem to solve." "Not mine. And if I can't solve it," Morrison's smile widened, "then my associates will be very disappointed. And when they're disappointed, people tend to have accidents." "You're threatening to have me eliminated." "I'm explaining natural consequences. You destroyed a very profitable business arrangement. Actions have reactions." I looked at Nicole. She nodded slightly. "There's another option," I said. "What option?" "You disappear. Tonight. Leave the country before your sentencing hearing. Start over somewhere that doesn't have extradition treaties." Morrison laughed. "Run away? From my own house, my own business, my own life? Why would I do that?" "Because if you don't, you're going to die." Morrison's laughter stopped. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm explaining natural consequences. You sent criminals to my house. You're blackmailing me through my imprisoned wife. Actions have reactions." Morrison started to stand up, but Nicole hit him with a garden spade before he could get to his feet. Not hard enough to eliminate him, but hard enough to drop him. "Tie his hands," she said, pulling zip ties from her pocket. I secured Morrison's wrists while Nicole checked the time on her phone. "We have 3 minutes before his ankle monitor sends a location ping," she said. Morrison was conscious, but dazed. "You can't do this. People know where I am. People know you're supposed to be in your house," Nicole corrected. but you're not in your house. You're in your backyard, which is still within the monitoring perimeter. What are you going to do? I looked around Morrison's garden. He had a nice setup. Raised beds, automatic sprinkler system, even a small greenhouse. We're going to plant you, I said. It took us 40 minutes to dig a hole deep enough in Morrison's own garden. The soil was soft from recent watering, and Morrison had conveniently left his gardening tools scattered around the yard. You're making a mistake, Morrison said as we worked. My associates will know something happened to me. Will they? Nicole asked. Because according to your ankle monitor, you never left your house. You're going to be reported as a missing person, but there won't be any evidence of foul play. They'll search the house, and they'll find that you disappeared without a trace. No sign of struggle, no crimson red, no witnesses. Just gone. Like you ran away rather than face sentencing, I added. When the hole was deep enough, we put Morrison inside. He was still alive, still conscious, still threatening us with consequences. This is homicide, he said. This is gardening, Nicole replied, throwing the first shovelful of dirt. Morrison screamed, but his backyard was isolated and the surrounding houses were quiet. By the time we finished filling the hole, it was past 11 p.m. We need to plant something on top, Nicole said. Make it look natural. Morrison had bags of mulch and several potted plants waiting to be transplanted. We planted a small Japanese maple directly over his grave, then spread mulch around it. Perfect, Nicole said, stepping back to admire our work. By spring, the roots will have grown deep enough that no one will ever think to dig here. We cleaned the gardening tools and put them back where Morrison had left them. Then we let ourselves out through the back gate and walked calmly to our car. How do you feel? Nicole asked as we drove away. I thought about it. Frank Morrison was dead, buried in his own backyard under a tree that would grow strong from his corpse. The man who'd threatened to eliminate me would never threaten anyone again. I feel nothing, I said. Good. That means you're learning. Learning what? That sometimes the only way to solve a problem is to eliminate it completely. 2 weeks later, Frank Morrison was reported missing. His ankle monitor showed he'd never left his house, but he was nowhere to be found. Police searched the property thoroughly, but found no evidence of foul play. The media reported it as a suspected self-destruction or flight from justice. Morrison was scheduled to be sentenced for money laundering, and many criminals chose to run rather than face prison time. His criminal associates looked for him briefly, but without their main connection to legitimate business, they moved on to other opportunities. The threats against me stopped. I sold my house and moved across town. Started fresh in a new neighborhood where nobody knew about my wife's crimes or my connection to the Morrison case. Nicole and I continued seeing each other, bonded by shared secrets and mutual survival. We never talked about what we'd done in Morrison's garden, but we both knew it had been necessary. 6 months later, I drove past Morrison's old house. New owners had moved in, a young family with children. They'd expanded the garden and added a playground. The Japanese maple tree had grown noticeably taller. I thought about Lisa, serving her sentence in federal prison. I thought about Jason, who would spend the next 15 years paying for his crimes. I thought about Dean, who had chosen the wrong side and lost a 20-year friendship. And I thought about Frank Morrison, feeding the roots of a tree that would outlive all of us. Some people deserved justice. Others deserved consequences. The difference was knowing which was which. I drove home to my new life, my new house, my new identity as someone who had survived betrayal and emerged stronger. Behind me, the maple tree continued growing. The end